Hello, and welcome to this 4 English webinar on the habits of effective writers. My name's Steve Berrier. I'm an ESL reading and writing instructor in San Diego, California, and I've taught and tutored English learners and writers at all levels. So let's get started today. Let me begin by setting up a scene for you. We're in a classroom. The teacher says, "Good morning, students. Today we're going to do a one-page writing assignment." Does this look familiar? Does it look like your classroom every time you assign a writing exercise? Sure looks like mine. Even the adults look like this. And here's one of the problems. They never know how to begin. Really, I think that's the hardest part. But once we can give them a tiny spark, some kind of a trigger to get them going, then things become a little bit easier. So after a while, maybe, just maybe, if we're lucky, they'll look like this. Well, I think you get the idea. Writing students, whether they're English learners or English natives, have a really tough time getting started. So today, let's examine some techniques that might be useful for your writing class to provide a little inspiration. Now, I know that every classroom has very individual challenges and individual needs, so not everything will work for you. We're all teachers, and you know as well as I do that the reliable classroom technique that worked so well last semester is just as likely to be a failure this semester. Hey, give one of them a try, and if it works for you, that's just great. So I've divided the webinar into 3 sections. The first part I call inspiration. How do we get them inspired to write? It's not really their fault that they have no idea what to write about. A good writing prompt will catch their interest. The second part is mechanics. And by that, I just mean the actual act of writing, putting the pen to the paper. What to do with the actual physical result. And finally, we'll look at an example of a writing lesson that you can adjust to your own classroom's time frame and level. Now, how are you, the teacher, going to find that topic that provides interest for the student? Where does this inspiration come from? There has to be something to write about. It's not magic. It just needs to be something that the student engages with. Students must believe their thoughts are worth sharing. After observing all the struggles and the tortured expressions on my students' faces when they're faced with a writing assignment, I decided this is probably the biggest challenge for my writing students. Most of them believe they have nothing to say, nothing that is worth the effort of writing it down. So they always ask, well, what should I write? So it's my job as a teacher to help them by modeling the possibilities and providing some stimulus until they're able to trust their own imaginations. And this is where you can have a lot of fun with your students, especially as you observe their creativity starting to flow. So let's take a look at a few techniques. Now, I want to look at 6 today. The first one is regular writing. And by that, I just mean get your students in the habit of writing every day, or at least every few days. Using visuals. You know, visuals are a great way to stimulate writing. I have something called a journal jar that I'll share with you. Act out a scene. That's always a great way to get an idea for writing. Something that I call time contests. And then something new that you may not know about called a word cloud.